Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. All right, I think we're back here finally. Let me get my monitor all up and running. All right, I think Mama's taken care of for a little while. Back to touching up a painting I did about 15 years ago. A painting that I like quite a bit, but there's some very specific things that I felt like I could, a couple very specific things I felt like I could do to it to make it better. Thus answering the question, when is a painting finished? Not till it's sold, not sold. So I am welcome. It's open season on any painting that's not sold. Now, those marks right there, I'm not sure whether to call those atmospheric perspective or just random abstraction. It's more like random abstraction, except that they echo and double, if you will, as hard to say whether it's atmospheric perspective or just abstract marks. One of the things I'm doing and have been doing for a couple of minutes here while I was waiting for the camera to come back on is a fair amount of palette knife painting. Let me zoom in here for just a minute, real tight, so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm going to move you so you're going to be very much in my way, so hopefully I won't forget to get you out of the way. All right, I hope you can see that. You can see my chin there. All right, this is all old painting. I've touched up a little bit here and way over here, but this fence, there's a weakness. It's lovely to a point, but there's a weakness here, and it is simply, well, two things. One is the color of white is the same all the way from here to here. And indeed, of course, 15 years ago, I was going for sun shadow, dappled sunlight on this fence, right? But I only hit this white stuff one time. And if you follow me at all, you've heard me say in recent years many times this principle I've mentioned, where if you put down a color, once you get into the opaque phase of painting, then once you put down a color, it's a good idea to come back and do a slightly lighter, brighter, whiter color, slightly whiter right on top of it. So that's what I'm doing right now. Plus, there's another weakness in the painting technique here. I wonder if you can see it. And it is, it's a weakness of redundancy, or a weakness of lack of variety. Again, variety is one of the highest values. Looking for a really small brush here. For variety. Variety is one of the highest values. And my brush strokes from 15 years ago are sadly moving more or less in the same direction. Plus, also, in addition to that, the brush strokes, the ends of the strokes are rather globular, rounded, smooth. In other words, so I'm actually coming here, and contrary to what I often talk about, which is, a painting of too many hard edges, I'm actually adding hard edges here. Very subtle hard edges, so I'm not terribly worried that I'm overdoing it. But so can you see that the marks that I've just put on top are now just ever so slightly brighter, whiter than the marks that were there from 15 years ago. And why is that good? Well, it follows this principle that I said, put down a color in it, but it's variety. It's the principle of variety. Let me try to put it in the same thing. I'm going to back you guys up now. Same thing in different words, different language. Again, if you've watched me at all in recent years, do we have anybody? Nobody's watching yet. Okay, I'll keep going. I'm just assuming that the broadcast is functioning properly. Here's one of the principles I've stated often. There we go. Over the last several years, that the human eye is inexorably drawn toward punctiliar light. Put in simple language, human beings like to see points of light. Why don't I just put it simple? Well, for two reasons. One, it's a pedagogical device. It's a trick for teaching. If I use slightly unusual language, you're more likely to remember it than if I just say people like dots of light. Okay? So, again, the human being is inexorably drawn toward punctiliar light. But the other reason I say punctiliar light instead of points is because if I said points of light, many people would mistake that for saying, oh yeah, like stars and candles and Christmas lights, or maybe reflection on the water. All those are true, but those are points of light. And it's more than just points of light. It's light that is point-ish or punctiliar. So again, that's exactly what I'm doing in my retouching of this painting right here. I'm punching, I'm bringing up, I'm accenting point-ish light. Okay, so hopefully, it's already so much better. Oh my goodness. I thought this would make a difference, to tell you the truth. And I know you guys, it's hard for you to even see the difference. It's so subtle, but I hope you can see it anyway. A third thing that I'm doing to this painting, again, that's over 15 years old, I think. Third thing that I'm doing is I'm adding, especially with a palette knife, but even with my brushes, I'm applying more impasto. Now, I like to say that impasto because it's a Latinate word, and I think the A in Latin is more often pronounced ah than ah. But anyway, be that as it may, I'm applying a little bit thicker globs of paint. Now, why is that a good thing? It's not all by itself, but it adds variety. See? Variety of color, variety of texture, which is what I'm talking about right now. Variety of texture, variety of color, variety of stroke, variety of value, and so on and so on and so forth. Any kind of variety. Now, that doesn't mean chaos. That doesn't mean, oh, the more texture you put in the painting, the better. No, not more. Balance is always the answer, not more. So I am giving the painting more variety because of variety of values. Right? I'm putting even lighter light. I'm adding the punctiliar light, and I'm adding texture. Those are three distinct abstract improvements that I'm doing to this painting. Now, the question is going to come shortly. Do I need to do any? Do I want to do anything to these two little child characters figures? The answer is not very much. If I do, it's going to be subtle. That is one part of this painting that I'm pretty pleased with, that I didn't overdo. So at the moment, by the way, I'm dragging some of this more intense light punctiliousness, pointiness, and texture. I'm dragging light and texture down into the focal point. This is still the focal point. It brings up the subject that I've talked about very often, that I've never heard anybody else talk about, but I'm sure they do. I just have missed it. And I call it psychological focal point. Okay, there's two kinds of focal point in a painting, or there's opportunity. One is traditional art focal point that you're all familiar with. The other is psychological focal point, and this painting is a classic example of this. Beautiful, pretty painting. Psychology right here, because it's people, and it's also color. So I played my cards right, so to speak. The whole painting is cool, right? Pale blues, whites, and boom, red. Good call. And I pulled them off with, I think, a decent balance of abstraction. I'm second guessing that right now. You can hear in my voice. And indeed, I am going to touch up this girl. It's clearly a girl. I'm debating whether I think I'm going to pop the red just a little bit more, but hang on. Before I do that, I want to look around and just see, is there any place else that I want to add a little more of this opaquer. That means slightly more opaque. Get it? Opaquer. That's a nice little soft edge right there. Do I want to add any more opaque? Yeah, I do. Right in here. Again, some of my earlier strokes were just a little too amoeba shaped, soft edged, organic shaped, and I want them to some of these shapes to have a little bit more edge to them. Again, which is the opposite of what I am normally preaching, which is, careful, too many hard edges is a mistake. That is correct, but it's a balance issue. And now that I'm looking at this painting with fresh eyes, I'm going, you know what, here. This, as you can, I think this is like the secondary. This is the primary focus. This is the star, the primary leading actor, and this is supporting actor. And I know that is not terminology that I would have used 15 years ago. I feel like part of becoming a better painter, at least for me, is becoming more and more consciously aware of these. And I'm sure that there's many painters out there maybe who that are not conscious of what they're doing hardly at all. Whoops. Okay, those I thought I just messed up, but I didn't. Those are permanent. Those are part of the painting. Yeah, so that terminology about leading actor and supporting, right? The movie industry sort of recognizes that you're probably not going to have a great movie if you have a fantastic lead actor, but he or she's the only one on screen. The lead actor has to have somebody to bounce off. And so that's why they have this category. They give awards for supporting role, supporting actor. Very interesting to me. And this is my supporting actor. And that theme is going to come up on several of the paintings that I hope to improve here today, or I don't know how many days I'm going to be working on this. But think about it, this will be a pretty good deal, right? If I can take a painting that was a B plus, maybe an A minus. No. Maybe I was going to say maybe a B minus. Nah, I think I would call it a B painting. and turn it into an A painting for in 30 minutes. Dang, that's good. That's good ROI, right? You know what? It just dawned on me. You know what I would like to do to this painting? Yeah, okay, let me tell you a trick. I can't do it now. I'm going to wait now a couple days till this painting is bone dry. And it's only bone dry, again, because I'm using a little bit of liquid, right, which is fast dry medium, and alkyd white. That's the only reason it'll be what I call bone dry in 2 days. So it's dry. I'm going to take it out in the front yard, and I'm going to spatter. I'm surprised I didn't do this earlier, but just a little bit, not much, not overdone, but just a tiny little bit of snow in the air, all right? And the reason, so here's I've demonstrated this before, but I can't do it now. You have to wait till the painting's dry. And then my favorite kind of brush for spattering is a cheap chip brush. And you have to mix up a slurry. You have to get it just the right thickness. For me, that's liquid, tiny bit of Gamsol, and paint. Mix it up. Stand outside. Why outside? Because I'm going to spatter paint all over the place, right? So I put it in the grass. I stand about 5 feet away, maybe 6, 8 feet away, and I go, fuck. F-W-O-K, fuck. Just in case you're wondering. Fuck. And the chances of my first thwack producing the perfect distribution of white dots, the chances of that happening are about 1 out of 10% chance. That's why it has to be dry, because I'm going to have a rag there already with Gamsol on it, and I'll wipe all of that thwack, all of those white dots off. Wipe it all off. Stand back, mix up, try it again. Thwack, number 2. Usually, so I guess it's not 10% chance, must be higher than that, 20%. So usually in the first 5 attempts, I'll get one to say, oh, perfect. And the big danger with spattering is overdoing it. Okay, mark that. In fact, the principle is if something's really fun to do, like spattering, be careful not to do too much of it. All right, but that's for another day. Let me come back now. I think I'm going to put these big brushes, I'm going to save them with all that paint on. I do have a criticism of my my face here, but before I do that, I'm going to do something fairly simple, and that is I'm going to bump up the chroma and the light of at least one of these red jackets. Okay, so I've got some Scarlet Lake, which is a warm orange-ish, that means orange-ish red, a little bit of orange and titanium white. And I just want to hit the sun side of this jacket right here. And again, pretty soft, as you can see, very soft edge there. Now, I'm going to use a little bit more red, or even a little bit Scarlet Lake. So Scarlet Lake, I'm sorry, I'm saying that wrong. Naphthol Crimson, I mean. Naphthol Crimson is a cool that is tending slightly toward purplish, a cool red. And Scarlet Lake is warm, that is tending toward orange-ish. There we go. Nice variety, nice, a little bit different. All right, now let's zoom in on this girl's face, and I'm going to pick you up and let you watch this up close, because I disagree now with myself from 17 years ago. That face is too concrete, too specific, too detailed, too much information. All right. I've talked about this a lot recently. Generally speaking, so that you understand, of course, that this is not a figurative painting. It's so dumb to say, but I got to say it anyway. This is not a figurative painting. This is a scenic landscape painting with figures in it. And generally speaking, in my opinion, the guideline for faces in a scenic painting, generally, the guideline is no features, or better yet, minimal features. Okay? In fact, I mentioned last week I was walking, I think, through a public restroom somewhere in a fancy place, and there was a G. Harvey painting print on the wall. And I actually took a picture of it. I might post it on my community page, YouTube community page here. G. Harvey's quite a well-known painter. Whoops. So that's almost just about right, but a little bit too much. So I want this face to look like it was done, with no effort whatsoever. Oh yeah, it just fell off the end of my brush. I don't even know how it happened. That's called sprezzatura. Sprezzatura. The impression of effortlessness. Oh, it is nothing, my liege. It just fell off my brush. I hardly even know how it happened. You want to give the impression of effortlessness. There, that's better. Okay, so very subtle abstract features. Whoops, sorry about that. A little earthquake there at the Nelson household. Hang on, I'll have you situated in a minute. Here we go. That's better, yeah. The problem with putting features, which I had here, on a scenic painting is they tend to be cartoony, okay? Now here's a wedding painting, quite the different. That's a portrait. That's a flat up portrait, not at all cartoony. That's different matter altogether, because for me, that's what a wedding painting is. All right, I'm going to do, on this little boy's blue hat, I'm going to do the same thing I did to his jacket. I put a little bit of glow on his jacket. I want to put a little bit of glow on his blue hat, okay? And it looks to me like it's a cool blue. It's ultramarine blue hat. So just a little bit. And a little bit more. By the way, here's a tip. I found myself spouting this off a couple months ago at my monthly painter's critique online, Zoom critique. A good tip for you. If you're ever painting people, skin, clothing, outdoors in the sun shining, the very, very edge of whatever it is you're painting, skin or clothing, will almost always there'll be a slight halo accent of pure white. Well, I don't mean pure titanium white, but pure white on the side facing the sun. Ooh, that was nice. I'm gonna do a little bit more. I just did a little. I'm practicing what I preach here. This girl has a purple scarf. Let's give it a little bit more of an accent. There we go. Yep. Look at that. Do you see that horrible tongue painting? That's probably enough. Everything, I just see one more thing that I want to fix, and I think that's it. The top edge of this sled, blue sled right here, would look better with a nice razor sharp, thus the palette knife, right? Razor sharp white highlight. Oh yeah, it does look better, but now I want one, same thing down here. Just a few little white accents. All right, let me stand back and look at this. Almost. I want to put even a lighter highlight on this boy's jacket right here. More white, more pink, if you will. That's nice, but there's too much of it. Now I messed up and put a blob on his head, but don't worry. Yep, that's good. All right. Let me stand back for real. Ooh, I just saw something. Just a little something. The chimney up here, way up there. I'm missing an opportunity. I'm disagreeing with my 17-year-ago self. The word I like to use, I've been using the word supporting actor. Another way to put that is levels of energy. How much, and this is the focal point, this is the secondary focal point. How much energy out here, and it's always a very delicate balancing act. But I'm feeling like, yeah, just a tiny bit more energy right here. And I'm doing that with color. And now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I like it. In fact, I like it just enough that I'm going to give an echo of that same color over here on this tree. Ooh. Dang, why didn't I think of that earlier? Here, by the way, here's one of the things I'm doing with this painting right now by adding orange is a wider color spectrum. All things being equal, which of course they never are, but all things being equal, we, human beings, we like to see a wide or full, could be a good word, color spectrum in a painting. Wow. That was a nice, happy accident. So much so, I've now added some. You could really say what I'm doing now is some broken color, which I hadn't planned to do on this painting. But look, I just changed my mind, and it was a good idea. Added some orange there, and then some salmon, reddish orange here, and a little bit of orange on this fire hydrant. So we call it, in our part of the country, that's called a fire hydrant. Now bear with me just a minute while since I've opened the Pandora's box of broken color, do I dare want to do any more? Because let me tell a couple of things I was thinking about during the break in particular. You'll notice, at least on this painting, I'm not picking up the black pencils. I'm not going to do, that's some in broken color / pushed color. There was a slight hint of violet purple here, and I just pushed it considerably, made it more purple. And here's a space over here in this window for, this is broken color. Okay, same value, different color. And 9 ounce. Anyway, I'm not going to use pencil on this painting because I feel like it would violate what's working on this painting. It doesn't need pencil. So even though, if I were to update this to the current Dan Nelson technique, I would do some pencil, but I don't want to do that. It's working quite well as it is. And I didn't think I was going to do broken color, but sure enough, here I am. I think I'm going to keep it. I think I'm going to keep it to a minimum. But I'm glad I just did what I did, because it really did. I've still got this purple on my brushes. Purple, for what it's worth, turns out is one of my favorite broken color colors. All right. I showed you, if you were here at the last broadcast, I showed you some of this framing technique that I invented years ago, which I really like. I've only done it 4 or 5 times in my career. Galleries don't like it, but I love it. And this painting's been hanging in my den now for a couple weeks, and I find myself very much liking the framing of it. I'll show it to you again in just a minute, just in case you missed it. Again, it's something I invented myself. I don't know if I saw it somewhere, I can't remember. What I'm doing right now is painting over the nails. So there's your first clue. There's nails right through the painting. Again, this is the painting. Where's a clean spot? This is wood. Whoops, there's my wife calling me. All right, you guys. That means it's time for me to hang up. Right as soon as I say that, I say, wait a minute, I just saw something I want to fix. Yep. So along the same line, little tiny punch of light, light and color. I have the green traffic sign right here. It's a little besmudgified. So I've got a color green on my brushes, just slightly lighter than what's already there. Just a little. So again, this goes under the overall heading of all things being equal, we human beings would prefer to see a full range of colors. Full range. In fact, we don't want we want a monochromatic painting or limited palette painting. But unless you're doing that, generally speaking, yeah, that's nice. All right, yahoo. So I think this was let me just turn you on so you can look at it straight on for just a minute. I think this was by the way, just for what it's worth, this is again, it's painted on board and it's golden ratio, 1 to 1.618 or 1.62 if you'd rather. Okay, that's whenever I am cutting board for painting, I typically do that because I do think it's a pleasant ratio. All right. That's nice. So I think I took it from a B+ painting to a A painting, in my humble opinion. Yeah, this face is much better abstract. All right, I'm going to end there, and hopefully I'll be back in just a little while. I'm going to talk to my wife, make sure there's no emergency, and I'll be back in just a couple minutes, to do another rescue an old painting. Okay, thanks for watching. Oh wait, some chats here. Oh good, video better than before. Hello.